It's called Advanced Answering Techniques. So it is 3 professional people explaining to other people how to answer different questions, a multiple variety of questions. Advanced Answering Techniques.
Hello and welcome to Advanced Answering Techniques. I'm one of your hosts, Josh. This is a show where, if you're listening for the first time, I don't know why that gives me such joy to say, but I can't help but get a smile on my face. Just imagining. I guess part of what it is just thinking about, oh man, somebody's hearing this.
Wow,
for
lucky
the first time.
Yeah.
Shut up. But this is a show where we get listener questions and we answer them. How would you describe the way we answer them? Caleb is one of our co-hosts. Go ahead, Caleb.
Definitively, as we said last time,
Okay.
ironclad definitive answers.
Ironclad definitive
No
answers.
loose ends.
No loose ends. Gabe, anything
wrapped
that you would add to that? Gabe's another one of our co-hosts. Go ahead, Gabe. I said co-host.
Co-host. Yeah, I mean, definitive, ironclad, no loose ends.
I just said all of this.
Oh, yeah,
And without much repetition.
if we can help it. But sometimes it simply can't be helped.
It can't be helped.
Yes. As I've always said, sometimes it simply can't be helped.
Hold on, did I say that?
I said it first.
Oh, yeah, you said it first. We have a question today. Should we just get right into it? It sounds like
Yeah.
we're wrestling.
Yes.
It's wrestling.
Let's go.
Right into it.
The main event. Yeah, let's do it. This is from Joy. Another one from Joy. Always glad to have one from Joy. I was looking into the future of the podcast.
Oh, boy.
And we have 2 from an old favorite, a consistent submitter, and then we have one from, I think, this is a returning champion, but only from one, only ever submitted one other
Oh, my goodness.
question coming back. So that's
exciting.
that's 3 episodes from this one.
Wow.
Wow.
Pretty
Look
exciting.
forward
That
to
is. Yeah, I can't wait.
it. I'm looking forward to it.
Let's look forward to that all together. But for right now, put it out of your mind. Banish such thoughts. Let's live in the moment. Let's listen to Joy.
Live in the now.
I have a very common inclination. I think a lot of people have this. I don't think it's uncommon to to be friendly too quickly, and by friendly I mean like overshare too quickly. And there's a lady at my kids' school who I'd been around, and I thought she seemed really cool, and I liked talking to her. And I thought I could tell her a story of one of my kids having an accident with poop and recently. And I don't know, I was expecting her to laugh or go like, oh, same, but it killed the conversation. Killed it so uncomfortably that it was quiet for a while. I was looking at the ground. I ended up apologizing for oversharing, telling that story, and then it got quiet again. And then I just kind of sat there. She was going, oh, no, it's okay. It's okay. I understand. And I was thinking, I don't think you understand, because it's, you're being so quiet now. And I just feel like it's another lady that I hadn't talked to now at school. I didn't ask her if she was pregnant, so I thought I was doing really good conversationally. And also, that sounded mean. It was the same place where I messed up previously with another lady that I thought I was going to be future friends with as well. And how do you make friends as an adult?
It's a big question, Joy.
There was something that caught my attention. It was like, we're not good enough friends to overshare.
Yes. Right.
So I was like, okay, so what does that mean? Is oversharing... If you have a friend that you can overshare with, then it's
Right.
not oversharing.
It's just sharing.
It's just like you have this intimate relationship with.
Yeah.
But if you have, I don't know.
Yeah.
Sorry.
That's okay.
Let's all look down at the ground right now.
Yeah.
Yeah, let's take a minute and just wish that Caleb had put together a thought of any kind at all. Then
I'm really sorry.
Let's mourn. Let it out, guys. It's okay to grieve.
I know what she means.
Yes.
You're sharing intimate details and maybe not showing yourself in such a great light when you expose these things.
Right.
And you feel comfortable doing that with
Yes.
certain people and not with other people.
Yes.
And frequently the appropriate response, I think, the gracious response to someone who is doing that, putting themselves in that circumstance is to join them in the joy of the absurdity of life sometimes.
Yes. Yes. There is, I just like thinking of Joy burning through all of these potential friends, just a pack of matches that she's just striking off each one after the other. But that is to me, the entertaining, wonderful thing about people is getting down to it. If you're going to stay on the surface, if you're not going to be able to tell about something horrible that your child did with fecal matter or whatever it was, I assume I assume it was something like out of the ordinary.
Yeah.
So notable.
Yeah.
If you can't share that, then what are we doing?
Yeah.
Or what are we going to do? Are we just going to sit here and talk about all the ordinary, boring stuff? You want to trade mortgage details?
Yeah.
Right.
What's going to happen?
Right.
Let's make something happen. So I think Joy, I think Joy is what you're doing, Joy, and I hope that none of these people listen and know themselves from Joy's stories. But Joy, I think you are ridding yourself of unnecessary people who are not worth your time.
Yeah.
I think that's exactly the way you should position this. You shouldn't be looking down at the ground.
No.
You should be staring proudly in her face when you describe these circumstances.
Nose in the air.
Yes, and just being glad that you know now.
Yes.
This isn't someone you should waste your time on.
Yes.
Maybe it's like if she doesn't have any stories to relate, you could ask for some tips about how to get your kids to do the right thing with that.
Joy could ask this woman.
Right, exactly. Like maybe there's another way to kind of be like, oh, it sounds like you don't have anything similar.
You don't have
that
any
you could
problems
share.
with that.
Do you have
Your
any
kids.
tips?
Yeah.
As far as avoiding it.
Yeah.
I would just say avoid making this woman who's already so haughty and proud think that she has anything over you.
Okay. All right.
That's just me. You know, there is a way in which you could, maybe you're finding ammunition there.
Yeah.
When she tells you her tips.
Yeah.
You know, maybe then you're finding something to. There's a way to do
You could
that.
needle her with that.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's true.
So maybe Joy's like, what do you do? And the woman's like, I slap my kids.
Right.
Now you've got some ammunition.
Yeah.
Now you can go to CPS and get this woman taken care of.
Yes. Right. Yes.
Yeah.
Now you can tell everyone else that you're making friends with.
Yeah.
The intimate details.
There you go.
Maybe found a couple of friendships on that. Like,
on mutual
hatred or something like that.
Maybe you don't even need, maybe it doesn't even have to be true.
Sure.
Well, yeah,
That's true.
that would accomplish both things then, right? You haven't put yourself in a lower status with the woman, and then you've also, formulated a barb.
Yeah.
You've made your own barb.
Yep. She says, this woman says she slaps her kids, and I asked her, does she mean in the face? And she said, yes.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, she makes them stand with their hands behind their backs and slaps
them in the face.
This is a different tactic, but maybe if you share the story about the accident and then she doesn't react, and then you have the same situation. She doesn't react the way you're expecting.
Yes.
You have the same situation where you're looking at the ground. Then you could take that as an opportunity to just leave the conversation, go find another mom, and then tell that mom the story that you told the other mom.
Yes.
But tell it like it was a story that she told you.
Yeah.
Yes.
You know, so you're like, this woman just told me about this accident
Yeah.
that her kid had, and this is
Right.
what happened, and go through that whole thing.
Yeah.
And just see where that gets you.
Yeah.
Just
maybe.
kind of see what happens. Introduce that into the
Yeah.
social realm
Yeah.
of your school.
I think
Right.
it's I mean, Joy, this is pretty much, burnt over spent ground anyway at this
Yeah.
point.
well,
Why not just grab a couple gallons of gasoline, dump it on,
Yeah.
and just watch it all. Some moms just want to watch the world burn.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, that's certainly true with the way they're raising their children
Yeah.
as little,
Yeah.
arsonists, basically.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I think that this actually applies to the end question, which is how do you make friends as an
Right.
adult? And part of it is a pruning process, sort of a
Mm-hmm.
screening process. So I think you're already well on your way.
It's true.
Yes.
If you can't overshare
Yeah.
with this person,
Yeah.
then
Yes.
where's the future?
Where's the future? Are we going to get there? Are you going to make me jump through your darn hoops?
Yeah. And
do a little dance for you?
I find that what happens to me often is when I meet somebody and then I'm trying to get to know them, I'm asking questions. I always lean on humor.
Yeah.
Humor is kind of the default for
Yeah.
me as far as relating to other people. That's
Right.
my default stance.
Yeah.
And sometimes it's just fruitless, and some people just aren't interested in
Yeah.
joking around, making. They don't have time for quips.
Yeah.
Right.
What's more
and
fun than jokes?
That's pretty good.
Yeah.
That's a pretty good filter for me.
Yeah.
I think
be
that's a
like-
great way to start off a
Yeah.
conversation.
Hey, can you tell me one thing that's more fun than jokes?
Because I'd love to
And
know.
If they even take a second before they say no,
Yeah.
then like that's a big red flag.
Yeah.
If there's any amount of hesitation,
Yeah.
if they're actually like, no, something could be more fun than jokes, I'm like,
Come now.
no thanks.
Yeah.
Not a friend.
What are you talking about?
Yeah.
Making money?
Is
Yeah,
that more
Making
fun?
money
Yeah.
more fun than jokes?
If they're like having jet skis and a boat.
Yeah.
You're like,
Yeah, but
I
then
don't think
when
so.
you're on the jet ski enjoying yourself, what are you going to do?
Yeah.
Be serious about that?
yeah. You're going to.
You're going to
Yeah.
joke around.
You're just gonna scowl as you ride your jet ski around, just
Yeah,
Just
brow
kinda- yeah.
furrowed.
right.
As
This
you-
is quite fun.
As you just skid along some nasty chop.
Yeah,
Yeah.
as you gradually formulate CTE in your brain
Does that
From
happen
being on
from-
jet skis?
Yes.
Just
It's
being on a
very-
jet ski?
from just being on them,
Really?
just riding them.
The
The
thump,
concussive
da-da-dump,
force of riding on waves consistently is not good for your brain.
Wow, you're
Crazy.
taking all of that right through your knees, up through your hips into your brain.
And look, that could be fine if you're making jokes about
Right.
Yeah.
If
that. Oh, I'm kind of feeling murderous.
CTE is
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
CTE is kicking in.
Yeah.
Watch out.
Be aware.
Yeah. It is hard to make friends.
It
as
is.
an
I
adult.
actually wrote a poem about how it's kind of hard to make
okay.
friends.
Okay, weird.
So Gabe
for
wrote
some
a
people.
poem.
Wrote
Yeah.
it or typed it?
I typed it.
Okay.
I typed it into my phone in the parking lot at Joanne Fabric.
Were you waiting for someone?
No.
Oh, you're
I'd
just.
gotten my shopping done.
Wow,
Oh.
you were truly struck by inspiration.
And
Well,
then I
that's-
just sat
That's
down.
great. Some poets just kind of have it as a daily practice,
Right.
Yeah.
and it's not that's kind of what an amateur might do is wait for inspiration
Right.
and then
It wasn't
You've
even
already
that.
written
And
your
then
poems for
for
the
the
day
day.
before you go
Yeah.
out for your errands.
yeah, like Billy Collins says, what do you do with the other 23 hours?
Right.
You know, in a day if you're a poet.
Right.
Just 1 hour a day is what you spend writing it.
That's what Billy Collins says.
That's what Billie Eilish says.
Billie Eilish.
Billie Eilish or Billy Collins?
I don't know.
Yeah.
Is Billie Eilish a published poet?
Yeah.
Are lyrics published?
Yeah.
Are lyrics poems?
Or
Yep.
lyrics published.
They're poems.
Poems.
Get a book of lyrics.
Yeah.
I guess you could.
I guess
Yes,
we
you
could. Maybe in some situations it is.
And Gabe wants to read.
One time I saw a man at church just walk up to a visitor and introduce himself. He walked right up and said, "Hi, my name's Henry," and asked for the visitor's name. I remember thinking, oh, so that's how you do it. They shook hands and chatted for a while. As it turned out, they had a mutual interest in history. I was actually planning to go to the History Museum on Tuesday, the visitor said. Really? Well, I don't have anything going on that day. Want some company? Sure do. And they exchanged numbers, discovering that they had the same phone number except the 3 and the 2 were swapped. They even followed all the same meme accounts, and they were both trying to cut back on screen time, so they only mentioned a couple of their favorites. Tuesday went great. The museum had plenty of old history stuff for them to take a look at and tell each other stories about. They'd both heard all the stories before, but each of them appreciated the new details the other would focus on. Hank and the visitor, whose name I never got, decided to enjoy lunch in the plaza, embraced by sunshine. The visitor shook his head, smiling in disbelief as Hank withdrew a cold roast chicken and ketchup sandwich from his packed lunch. You're not going to believe it, but I brought the same thing. I haven't made a new friend in years.
Wow.
Yeah.
I've got
Do you-
some problems.
Do you think that's because you spent a lot of time observing other people? Unbeknownst to them, apparently.
Just trying to get some ideas.
Look, and I appreciate that, and it's fine for a little bit in the poem.
Yeah.
You're observing these guys, but then somehow you observe them going to a
Yeah.
museum.
Oh, I heard the whole plan.
Okay. Oh, you heard the whole
You heard
plan.
them saying this is what will happen.
So
we
then
go
why
to
would
the
the guy be
museum?
surprised?
No, I went
that
to the
they-
museum.
Oh, you went. You just
yeah.
were
And
kind
watched
of
them.
following.
Or
Okay.
maybe it just starts following them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. If the whole thing just starts
It
following
could just
them.
follow them.
Yeah. Start following
I see.
them.
You're, so that's more of a poetic device.
It's a poem.
There is. Okay. I see. But then you never catch his name. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. I thought
Okay.
the way that I actually thought it was
Look.
it was for someone at your level quite a good poem.
Thank you. Thank you. I'll take that.
And one thing that I especially liked is the fact that we didn't learn his name.
No.
Because so much about poetry is how mysterious
Right,
it is.
mystery.
That's
Yeah.
is turning me around on
Yeah.
this poem.
Okay.
And so
this is completely turning me around on this poem.
And so it got mysterious when we didn't know his name.
Yeah.
Yep.
And even though you seemed omniscient in various ways,
Yeah.
you didn't actually know what his name was.
Right.
No.
And that really kept me so
Humanized
interested.
him.
Well,
It humanized him, and it also proves his point of not having
Yeah.
friends,
Right.
not making
Yeah.
friends,
Right.
and maybe he can't remember
Maybe he
people's
doesn't
names.
even know another name that someone could have.
No.
Right.
It's just Henry. Well, the one
Right.
guy has two names.
Yes, that is tricky.
And yeah, I mean, there's even a case to be made that like none of it actually happened. Like
I
none
see.
of that actually.
Yeah.
Where you're
Like,
like,
it's just him thinking about. It's just the author thinking about.
oh, okay, so now
the
the
thing.
author's another guy. So-
Sure,
Yeah.
maybe.
Okay.
I think,
Okay.
well, and I think we do want the author to be another guy because,
Golly.
as you know, post-structuralism and deconstruction taught us, the author is dead. And so
Right.
I do not want Gabe to be the author.
Yeah.
Yes.
Because the author is dead.
Yeah, I don't want that. I don't want you to die, Gabe.
I'm
I
just curious. You guys
yeah.
put Billie Eilish's poems up to this much scrutiny?
Yeah, I guess I haven't.
No.
But yeah, I mean, another way to take it, I guess, would be that you're sitting there, you hear them make these plans, and then the author, I guess it's not you, sorry, the author is sitting there, here's these plans, and then he is kind of surmising what will happen.
Right.
He's
Yeah.
kind of playing out a
Maybe
fiction in
he's
his head.
projecting
Yes.
While the
some
pastor
desires.
or the preacher is giving the sermon.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If it's a video, then we kind of, maybe what happens in the video.
Okay.
Now the poem's a video.
No.
Yeah.
When some film is
So-
poetry.
Sometimes that it really does help to explain what's going
It
on.
starts
if you have
off,
a video.
if you make a video of it in your head. Yeah. So it starts off and he sees these guys introduce each other,
Yeah.
and then we sort of play out from there, and we think that we are just following these guys
yeah.
as they go to the museum and
Yes.
enjoy their time together. But then it cuts back to the author in the pew at the church, and the preacher's preaching, and none of it has happened.
Yeah,
None of
because
it's-
the author
yes,
is
exactly.
just eyes
He's
are
actually
crossed out.
dead.
He's dead.
He's got
Yes.
But he's
he's dead.
He's dead in church.
still
Yeah.
sitting there.
Yeah, and it's hard
Corpse
to make
church.
new friends if you're dead.
It's basically impossible.
One of the
Yeah.
leading obstructions. I have a poem too.
You have a lot
Joshua
in common
Poem.
with
And
a
I
lot
did
of
wanna-
people, though, if
I
you're
just-
dead.
That is true. Mutual interest, worms, bones.
I have a poem too. I wanted to kind of show you how it's
Josh wrote
done.
a poem.
Yeah, I wrote a poem. And then this is kind of just to demonstrate a little bit of how it's done. Darby yelled over the fence, "Check out this thing I invented." Darby's neighbor lived next door. His name was Francis. "What is it?" Francis asked. "It's a toaster," Darby said, smiling a sneaky smile. Darby put the toaster near the fence. Francis leaned over the fence to look at the toaster. The toast popped, and the two pieces of toast smashed through Francis' skull. So I think kind of an unspoken, an unspoken question here is this a good way to make friends? I think that's one of the unspoken questions of the poem. Maybe not.
No, it's a good way to make friends dead.
Or maybe that's not even the point of what he did. Do you know what Francis' last name was?
Schaefer.
No. Good guess, though.
Thanks.
Xavier.
Of a CC.
No.
Yeah.
No, this Francis' last name was Putin.
Oh.
Sound familiar?
No.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it does.
So sometimes the goal is to make friends with the United States.
Yes.
And Francis tried.
No. So sorry, Darby is the guy. Francis was the guy who's got smashed in the all the way through the head with toast.
Toast.
Yeah,
Soft skull.
Francis Putin. And so this
Right.
was a way that Darby could make friends with the U.S. by using toaster that he invented. It was so powerful
Oh my goodness. Almost like a weapon.
to assassinate Francis Putin.
I thought that it was kind of, an analogy, and Darby is the U.S. and Francis is Russia.
Yeah.
And
Oh, yeah. Well,
and the
that
U.S.
reading
is like,
is-
hey, come here and check this out, and then it just kill
That
Right.
reading is absolutely on the
Yeah,
table, and I
okay,
don't
good.
think that these need to be exclusive.
Man, isn't poetry so cool?
It's so fascinating how it's sort of is like it's like the idea of infinity.
yeah.
You know, because you can have sets of numbers that are just like from one,
just a couple. Like, just what are some examples?
like one, like odds.
Oh,
Okay.
okay.
You
like
could have odds as a set of numbers,
Yeah.
and they're
Yeah.
infinite. But guess what? The evens are infinite too,
Oh my
and
gosh.
prime numbers
Yeah.
are also infinite.
Yeah.
Watch out for those subprime numbers.
Yeah,
Yeah.
You're gonna end up underwater
Absolutely.
on your mortgage.
I didn't write a poem, but I'll say one.
Okay.
Because I feel like left out now.
Oh, okay.
So, my little mule must think me queer.
Yes.
So-
That's a good one. It's kind of a haiku.
Yeah.
I think it's basho.
Yeah. Almost.
I know that it sounds like something else.
Yeah.
The beginning of something.
Yes.
Right.
It's basically the same thing, except two words are different.
Two words are different. And it's a way that you can do poetry is you can just take someone else's stuff. Don't do all of it.
Right.
And change some of it.
Just make a few, just for copyright reasons, make a few changes.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And it doesn't exactly have to do with making friends.
No.
Except that sometimes that is what new people you meet. Because in this, I know it's not part of the poem, but in this poem, it is a guy who he's in the woods,
Yeah.
and he met a mule.
He met a mule.
And,
And then he owned the mule
wow.
because he says my.
Yes.
Well, but you could say you're a friend,
Right.
and you don't own the
On
friend.
the friend. Yeah.
My mule.
But
They-
you're much less likely to own a friend than you are to own a mule. I'd say.
Yeah. You just think context.
In terms
makes it
of like
confusing.
using a possessive
Yeah.
Pronoun there.
Yeah. It just,
Are you sure that poem doesn't go, my mule friend must think me queer?
I mean, I'm not sure.
Yeah.
It
My
could
mule
go
friend
that way.
must think me, his human friend, queer.
That is a strange thing, right? With animals and people, is you own them, but you can be
Not
friends.
people.
Yeah. Oh, you don't think You don't think
No,
you
no,
can
no, I'm
own someone
describing-
and be friends with them?
You absolutely can. That's what the painter Vasquez taught us, right? Or was it Vasquez? I don't know.
I don't know what you're talking about.
Okay, there was a guy who had a slave because
Mhm.
that's what people did back then.
Mhm.
But he taught his slave to paint.
Yeah.
And
Oh, okay.
his slave friend
Yeah.
/ possession
Yeah,
became a great artist.
Yeah.
So yeah, you can.
but
Yeah.
Vasquez kept a cut.
What's that?
Did he keep all of it? All the money?
No. This guy went off and lived his own
okay.
life.
Okay,
even.
great.
Yeah, it was. I mean, I
He
don't think
gained
it's
his
Vasquez.
freedom. He must have gained his
He
freedom.
did. He was given
He-
his freedom. The
he-
king of Spain actually even interceded for him. It's an amazing story.
He
It is a really
painted
great
his
story.
way to
So-
freedom.
And to freedom.
So
Yep.
Vasquez.
To friendship and freedom.
Friendship,
Vasquez
That's the
was
name of
like-
the book.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Painting your way to friendship and
He wrote
freedom.
that. He wrote
in
that book.
parentheses.
Yes.
He's like, honestly, the freedom's great, but the friendship.
I would have taken just the friendship.
Yeah, that would be
Yeah.
fine if it just stopped there.
So I had a question, which is that it's interesting that Vasquez was friends with the slave.
Yeah.
The slave remained his slave until the king interceded.
Well,
It seems
it's not
like
quite.
Vasquez
I'm
wasn't
not-
quite as friendly.
Yeah.
I'm not telling it exactly
okay,
right.
okay.
But for the purposes of this podcast, yes, that's true.
I do also think that this might point out like that you can't actually own somebody and be their friend. Is
Yeah.
that
No,
ultimately
they're
as the
good
friendship grows and
Yeah.
deepens, then there's going to be a certain level where you're like, you might be human too.
I
You know,
think-
like that
yeah.
sort of thing.
Well, it wasn't that they didn't think he was human. It was just that he was. Yeah, I think you can start being friends,
Right.
but can you keep being friends
Yeah.
if
Yeah.
you're someone's slave?
So
and then really put your
Yeah.
foot down so that
Yeah.
the king has to go, no. This guy gets to go free.
Right.
Because Vasquez is like, listen, still,
Listen, I don't want you to be able to get away.
we're
Right.
friends.
right.
But I
So
still...
I guess this might actually equate to an answer for Joy as far
Yeah.
as
Yeah.
how you can make friends as
You
an
can
adult.
make friends this way, but I will say, yeah, it's hard out there. You just
but
don't have time.
To do it legally, that's hard.
Yes.
Now, at this point,
Right.
this is not really a good method. I did have some thoughts about, how you can become friends with someone. If we want to spend a little bit of time
Yeah,
Yeah,
let's
I
do
think
it.
so.
on that.
Yeah,
Um,
on answering the question that was
yeah,
asked.
answering the
that would
question.
probably be good.
Yeah, it feels like we ought to make at least an attempt. I think people want what they can't have.
Mm.
So remain an enigma. One way that you can do this
Yeah.
and keep up a conversation. See, part of the thing is, Joy, you're sharing when you should just be asking questions.
Oh.
What people love, as we know, Dale Carnegie taught us, is to talk about themselves. They want to talk about themselves.
Yeah.
Ask them questions. Don't tell them about yourself. They don't, in my experience, they don't want to know.
Yeah.
They will not be interested. You'll notice body language like them looking around and turning around
Yeah.
and walking away.
Falling over.
Just all kinds of things as you're trying to tell them about yourself.
Yeah.
Don't do that anymore. Just ask questions. This allows you to remain an enigma.
Have you ever had an accident with poop?
Yeah.
Yeah.
If that's what you really
That's a-
want to talk about,
Yeah.
you could ask
Just
them
ask a question.
and
Yes.
see,
Yeah.
and you learn something.
Have
I
you
guess.
ever had a good time with poop?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
Have you ever done something
Have you
amazing?
ever had not an accident, but something you did on purpose?
Yeah. Have you ever been creative?
So, have you ever done something notable?
Yeah. What's the most exceptional thing you've ever
Yeah.
Yeah.
poop?
Yeah. I mean,
Yeah.
I totally agree. Remaining an enigma.
Asking
and
questions.
set up play dates, but then cancel them
Yes.
Oh,
with
okay.
your kids.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
Oh, but
sorry,
yeah.
this thing I can't talk about is happening. I can't
Yeah.
have you over anymore.
Go for, or like show up and have your kids play for 10 minutes, but leave them wanting more and say, oh no,
Yeah.
I got a call and we have to go.
Yeah. Go to her house uninvited and pretend like you did have
Yeah.
a thing set up.
Yeah.
So she doesn't know what's going on.
She doesn't,
at all.
she's completely bewildered in your relationship, doesn't know what you're going to do next.
Yeah.
that kind of spontaneity is really attractive in a friend.
Yes.
I think so.
Yeah, and I think in that if you get somebody into that zone, into that headspace where they're kind of like unsure of things, they're going to be reaching out, trying to make connections, trying to find a hand, to something to grasp onto. So you've got them right where you want them.
Yeah.
And that's when you can really, do like an act of service or a grand gesture of some kind to cement to really, germinate that seed.
Yes. Yes, because you guys have been through so much together.
Yeah.
Now you've been through something.
Yeah. Now you've put her through something.
Yeah.
And now it's a sort of have you ever heard of Stockholm syndrome?
Yeah.
Like that sort
It's
of
so powerful.
Yeah,
This whole thing
it's-
kind of begs a question. Go ahead.
Well, I was just going to be saying that do not underestimate the power of Stockholm syndrome
yeah.
in leveraging
Yeah.
that strength.
And I'm so glad you did be saying that.
And it's like any other tool. There's no moral issue with the tool itself.
Right.
It is just how it's used.
It's yes.
To a good end or
Yeah.
not.
And this begs the question, though: if one mother owned another mother, does that mean she owns the whole family?
Well, it really does
Great
depend
question.
on the laws of the particular state. In some situations, yeah, it would.
Yeah.
I think the progeny would be viewed as kind of the produce.
Right.
Did they keep those laws around just in case?
Yes, if
Just for
there-
reference.
there's kind of an immediate fail safe.
Right.
Right.
Fail safe.
Yeah.
If we do get slavery back, this is how it'll be.
We've already got these laws back here. Yeah.
No, you can't do that. But if you were going to do that, this is how it would work. This is how it would all.
Yeah.
Yeah, that sort of thing.
That's what I was thinking. I was trying to think of the last time that I made a friend, and I thought this might be helpful. One of the great ways is just to invite someone over to your house. So
Yeah.
if you kind of put together an event, for me, the last time it was I really got close with someone because I was organizing this bum fight at my house.
Oh yeah.
And men fighting each other for the entertainment of the elite.
Men without homes.
And a flask of vodka.
So there, this guy was over. I really felt like we had a connection, and it was unfortunate. It didn't last long because the other bum killed him,
Oh no.
and that had to be the end of it right there.
Right.
And
Your friend was one of the fighters.
I became really close with one of
Okay.
the fighters, one of the men fighting to the death. But that's kind of on me because I know you shouldn't get attached.
Yes, you should not get attached. Once you give them a name.
Definitely not. Yeah. Well, you just never know how much the other one just really wants that flask of vodka.
That's
at
right.
the end.
Right, but
What
then
they're willing to
that
do.
does incorporate him into a whole other realm of friendship, as we
Right.
mentioned earlier.
Yeah,
Dead people have a lot in common.
that's
That's true. So maybe you're not friends with him now, Josh,
yeah.
but when you're bones, you will be.
Do you think dead people have more in common than living people?
I would say yes. I think they do. I mean, they have. You don't think they have more?
Well, because living people have living in common.
yeah, but we don't have death in common.
Yeah.
They've got that.
But that's
over
true.
us.
But they don't have life in common when they die. So
That's true. They don't have. Well, they do. The fact that they did live, they have in common.
that's true. But also, if you think about it, I think that they don't have more in common, but they have less overall. And so what they have in common is more
Becomes so important.
meaningful.
Maybe
Because like they only have, some of them will only have skin on their bones.
Yeah.
And then other people
They
just have
just-
bones.
somehow the muscle got away, but
Yeah.
the skin is.
Yes, right. Well, that's one. Maybe that's just a
wasting
handful of
disease.
people that died that
Yeah.
way
Yeah,
by
that's
having
true.
no muscles,
That's true.
by being weak.
And
Yes.
one of the things
That
that
sounds like that might be how your friend died. Was
it
being weak.
He
Yeah,
should
not
have had
having
more
a
muscles
muscle.
between his bones and skin.
Right where
Right.
you want
Well,
it.
yeah.
That
when
is
when you saw him and he had muscles on the outside, that might have been an inkling that he wasn't
Yeah.
going to fare so well in a fight with exposed muscles.
Yes.
Yeah.
And in some ways, that is what Joy was doing. So sometimes
Yeah.
it really works.
Yeah.
When you
Okay.
put your vulnerabilities and your
Yes.
muscles on the outside,
Yeah.
you will kind of attract attention, and people.
Hey.
In some situations, it might be a good strategy.
I'm wearing my
Yep.
bicep on my sleeve.
Yeah.
Yep. Yeah. I'm wearing it out here, and Are you gonna run away from me because I look strange, or are you gonna actually be my friend?
Or you're gonna squeeze it and say, "Oh, it feels like mushy tomatoes."
Thanks so much for listening, Joy. I hope that was helpful. If you'd like us to treat your questions this way, you can send them to us at advancedansweringtechniques@gmail.com. We're looking for an audio file of some sort, about a minute in length, usually.
Just
Guys,
a minute?
Just about a minute
Oh, okay.
in length.
Just 1 minute. Okay.
Why is that confusing?
Because I think the one we got today was a little more than that.
Yeah, but
it was
she
more.
had, but the other one, she banked some
She did.
time.
Oh, she had some
She had
leftover
25.
seconds.
She had a 25-second deficit
Yeah.
She
or
still
credit.
might have gone.
Maybe.
She did. She went about 10 seconds
Yeah.
over.
Okay. Well, that's fine. I just was confused because what we had in the episode today was different than what we've always asked for.
Bye.
Bye.